attention, human. Prepare yourself for the double Pipcast.
Hey everybody, this is Cam from the Double Pipcast, and you are listening to episode 12. And I've got with me Brandon Allison and Shawn Goodbergson. Hello, guys.
Hello, hello.
Hey, how's it going?
I am doing good. I'm doing good. Hey, thank you guys for joining, and thank you all for listening. Hey, this week we are going to be going over probably the biggest news and breaking the hearts of Autobot players all throughout the community. The banning of Press the Advantage, the battle card from Wave 2 that benefited Autobots and, much to the chagrin of Decepticon players, made them unplayable for better or for worse. And then also, WotC has gone and released a lot of character card spoilers over the past week and a half. So we're going to be talking about those in a little segment called Pass or Play with Shawn, Brandon, and myself. And that's what you've got to look forward to. So jumping right into it. So Press the Advantage. For those of you who are not aware, Press the Advantage, like I said, was a rare battle card from Wave 2. It was an orange and green icon battle card. It was an action. And keep in mind, you can play one action per turn normally, unless you're doing something crazy, which many people do with, like, Wave 2 Bumblebee, Shawn? Let you play an action when you flip over?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, heck, just anything that'll help you play an extra action. Heck, even Brainstorm mixed in with, like, 2 Pressy advantages is stupid.
Yeah, because it stacks. So the text reads, choose one of your Autobots, it gets +2 attack until the end of turn. Then you choose an enemy Decepticon, it gets -2 defense until the end of turn. So right there, you're basically saying, well, if you're playing a Decepticon, you auto lose if I get this card. Plus, it's got a green icon, so the draw power there is nuts. Brandon, what do you think about the banning of this card?
So, to me, just from an analytical point of view, right, it looks like this is a green card that you can flip up and take to your hand. So it lets you prep your hand for the next turn, or if you are setting up your turn so you'll get multiple attacks in one turn, you're almost guaranteed the use of this card. Right there, it's basically a +4, right? So in a game where your stats look like your average character is around 12 to 15, you're looking at a 4 being around 25%, right? That's a significant blow, just on the look. Now there are those I've seen I've seen some of the decks that play, I think it's Optimus Prime, that lets you play a action on the flip as well. You can correct me if I'm wrong there, but
no,
I know there was like one character who lets you do that. So considering that, it's you flip that. If you flip multiples, you're getting one to your hand, and you get to play a +4 against Decepticons, which right there, that's the equivalent to 4 orange pips, right? So that's double orange.
Right.
So,
in worst case scenario, it's if you're not playing against Decepticons, it's just +2 attack.
Right, and even that's pretty good, right? So I think that not being able to, I can't judge because I don't know. I don't have as deep a knowledge of all of the cards that are available in all of the sets. I haven't sat down and really broken down the physics of what makes everything work. But it seems like it's pretty strong. And I could understand why they would want it to go, because it's really only oppressive against Decepticons, and there's no counterbalance.
Well, even going off of like what Optimus Prime does, if you flip that, since it has an orange, that's +1 attack. Then you play it, so then that's the other +2. And then you can take it into your hand even after you play it for the rules. So that's one thing that was really made, because it could be +4, +5 on a turn if you flip it on an attack and then play it on an attack. And then your next turn, you're getting it right back into your hand. If Press the Advantage didn't have pips, it would probably be okay. Or with the pips, if it was choose +2 to an Autobot or -2 to a Decepticon, that would be okay.
Yeah,
But
either or.
yeah, giving it both. I mean, that makes it, for Optimus Prime on a flip, that's a +5 attack right there.
Right, and he's already got high base stats just looking at him in a vacuum.
Yeah, and let's say he played one that turn too. So now you've got,
One hit territory.
yeah, you played one and then you flipped one and then you played the one you flipped again.
Yeah.
And then you bring that one you flipped right back into your hand. So I can understand why it was banned. If it had no pips, it'd be okay. If it had a blue pip and then it was a choice, it would probably be better.
Well,
Yeah, it wouldn't have been banned, I don't think, if it was any other, if they had taken anything else away from it.
Well, yeah, it's tough too because it is. It feels like almost an auto include in any Autobot deck, right? And that's kind of the thing where you start to get, at least from the history of Magic, right? Magic doesn't like that. To have that, or I'm sorry, Wizards of the Coast. I'll say Wizards of the Coast more has a history of banning cards that auto include or reduce basically the diversity of decks, right? Reduce deck diversity. If you have a field of 100 decks and 70 of them use this, full complement of 3 in there, that's going to be something they look at for banning. And it seems like a press the attack or press the advantage almost in all of the strategies that I'm aware of right now is almost an auto include. Even cars, right? Re-ready cars would run it. Optimus Prime would run it. Stuff like that.
I'd even run it in defensive decks. Why not? It's fishable. You can run a couple of them there, and even if you get it and you're not really need at a time, you can throw it for something you need.
Yeah. So Ken Nagel, who's the lead designer on the Transformers trading card game, he had an article that came out, that announced the ban of the card, and he talked about mirrored pairs. So in Wave 2, you had Noble's Blaster and Scoundrel's Blaster. They're the same card for all intents and purposes, but they're meant for the opposite faction. So and then you have Press the Advantage, and the mirrored pair card for that was Bad Attitude. Now, Bad Attitude had no pips. And it read, if you started the game with all Decepticons, then do 1 damage to each Autobot and repair 1 damage from each of your Decepticons. So that there is not a perfect foil to Press the Advantage because it doesn't have a pip. It doesn't even have a green pip, so you can't really draw it unless you get it in your hand through normal purposes or normal methods, right? And there's a reason why Bad Attitude isn't banned. Now that hopefully Decepticons will, people will feel a little more courageous to play them. Maybe we'll see Bad Attitude as an auto include there, and then we'll be in a different position. But yeah, I think any card, like you said, Brandon, that's an auto include, you need a play set of 3. It drives the price up, so it's on eBay, it's on those singles selling websites. Everybody wants that card, because if you don't have it, you're automatically at a disadvantage. So I definitely think that it's good for the health of the game to have gotten rid of it for official play.
I was there at the beginning when they started. I was playing Magic at beta, so I was there when they first started ruling, and they split the Type 1 and Type 2 and the Type 1.5, and because if your deck didn't have 3 of the Power 9, why are you even playing this game? That's how it was. That's when they started the limiting and the banning and splitting of tournament types.
Yeah.
So I could see that happening with Transformers. They probably will do set rotation. I'd say maybe 2 more sets.
Game's too early in my opinion, the game's too early for set rotations. I think
they'll probably start around 7 or 8 sets.
I would give it at least 2 years. I would say if the game's been out a year, what is this, it's about to be 2020, right? Then I would say you won't see. I, as a player, wouldn't want to see a set rotation for at least 12 to 18 months from today. And also for the same reason and for the same issues, I wouldn't want to see more cards get banned, right? As a player and a person who looks at the health of the game, especially when you're diving in and choosing what to do, especially if they want it to be competitive, stability is important, and giving players the knowledge that, hey, these cards that you invest in right now are going to be playable for a year, 18 months before they get rotated out or before somebody goes on a wild banning streak, right, is critical, right? Because if you don't, if you automatically start out that way, you're going to lose confidence in the game.
Yeah. Speaking with Drew last week, he said, I did ask him about set rotations, and he said that, like you guys, Brandon, like you mentioned, it's necessary for the health of the game, but he said not to expect it until some time out. So maybe, like you said, Shawn, once that eighth set comes out, and I'm just throwing a number out there, then we might see wave 1 cards be phased out or whatever.
Or at least like some they'll phase out, probably wave 1 and 2 and reprint probably like half of them, make like a new core set, reprint like, maybe like 25% to half of them, and then new cards in the next set. That'd probably be at least like 7 or 8 sets, which they're going 3 to 4 sets, 3 to 4 months a set. I mean, that'd bring it around to about 14 to 18 months or so.
Yeah, and I would like to see that because, talking about other cards that have a high value, and they have a high value because they're staples. And Shawn, you know what I'm going to say, but Peace Through Tyranny and Security Checkpoint.
Yeah.
Both double pip cards. Peace Through Tyranny has a really cool, ability, KO a character and take an extra turn. But going with the design philosophy of not having double pip cards that aren't star cards anymore, that WotC is doing, it would be great to see those 2 cards, cut that power down, make them star cards, so it's not, if I'm running a deck that is either all orange, all blue, or mixed, you're at a probability, like the probability is you don't have as much defense or attack capability if you don't run those cards, because that is a auto-include 6 cards, at least in what I've seen in any deck. You have those because why not? It's free damage and free defense.
Now, what I would add to that, or I would say I know they probably will go that route, right? No more double pips without some star cost, but some of the early stuff, and this is purely selfish because I play my preferred deck right now is Metroplex. That it seems like that archetype was built with the current, I guess, landscape in mind, because it would be extremely difficult, right? Extremely difficult to trigger that ability without having some of these double pip cards. Like, I have to include pretty much every double pip card that exists that I can play, that I have access to, has to be in that deck, or else it's not even going to run properly just based on math.
Oh man, all you got to do is do some fuel cash, get a spinner rims in there. No, I mean, I did like spinner rims though. As soon as I saw that card, I was like, oh man, this is for Metroplex, no doubt.
Man, I'm telling you, like that. So if they do design that, or if they make those design changes, hopefully there'll be like a faction representative on the rules team. Somebody who's like, hey guys, you guys making some changes? Well, you know what I play, right? And so somebody in the room who can say, hey, let's make sure these Metroplex deck people are not upset and all salty and throw their deck away.
Yeah. I was actually just in my mind, I was picturing Metroplex with like big spinner rims on his body. Like, what does that look like?
That's how it should look.
Yeah, exactly. A man of that stature demands no less.
Obviously, big furry dice too. Those got to be.
So to put a pin in it, unless Shawn, you had anything else on Press the Advantage before we lay that card to rest.
Nah, it's good to be gone.
Yes,
at least for now.
Pour one out for Press the Advantage.
Yep. Joining Swap Parts, which, even though that was a really degenerate playstyle of infinite turns, I think that would be a card that I think they should bring it back now that they've made the ruling. And this is getting down a whole nother rabbit hole, but I think they should bring swap parts back, since now they've limited it to one bonus turn, where the swap part strategy, you could just keep going and keep going and keep going as long as you had the cards in hand.
I
don't
just
know.
cracked one of those today. As a matter of fact, I picked up at my War Machine card event. I picked up and I was like, "Oh, this card is useless. Let me just hold on to it."
Yeah, I was needing to trade for because I had traded a couple of my Pressy advantages out. Play like a Wave 2 play set that I sold to someone, so that inflated the cost. And now I don't have to retrade for those, so that's great.
It's like the stock market, man. It's like you get in, and it's like after Stefan Pinkney won with Shockwave at the Pro Play event in Columbus that Frank went to. Shockwave was already hovering around $70 in value. I think it's gonna go up from there.
Yeah, I've got to get another one. I needed some cash, so I sold mine real quick, but I could trade for another one.
So that's definitely something we can talk about afterwards. I know you have another topic, but man, talking about that event, man, because I'm definitely interested on how they're going to be structuring that competitive play. Now, that was a PPG, event. It seems like, with the Pro Tour and all that good stuff, man, things like that need to happen, I guess, more often.
Yeah, and they whipped that thing together really quick, and I was really thinking about going, and the fact that Frank was going, I was like, man, I'll just ride with him. But some very stiff competition. I actually tuned in for the very last game, which was Blaster versus Shockwave, and it actually looked bad for Stefan, like towards like mid game. I was like, oh, he's dead. He's down to one character, I think, at one point. I don't know if you guys watched it, but it was a nail biter, and then it just started. Everything was going right for him, and he ended up just clearing it. It was nuts.
Yeah, I mean, when I pulled Shockwave in that sealed event, I mean he's just a beast, and I was like pulling wins out of just because of his defense. All I'd have to do is get like 1 or 2 blue pips, and he'd brush off an attack entirely or just take a little bit of pierce. Yeah, he's just beastly. I love
being
him.
being able to look at your deck at any time, like your opponent's turn, your turn, whenever. That is in a game where you have to spend one of your actions or one of your flips. Everything has an opportunity cost, and to be able to do that for free on a character that's not garbage, that's insane.
Yeah. And you can do it, say, oh, there's a red, I'll attack, and then after your attack's like, oh, right before your turn, I'm going to take a look. And
yeah, and if it's a Decepticon colored card, or if it is a secret action, you can just play it. So
see, that's one of those things, like those secret actions. I am not up to speed on my secret action game, so maybe you guys can talk a little bit about that.
Well, what it is you play it, and then you forget to use it, and then you discard it.
I don't. There's one reason I don't. Back in the Babylon 5 days, they had a card that was just like secret actions, and I was a big player of those. So I'm happy to see a lot of new secret actions in the next set, because I want to be a secret action guy, little secret agent man.
Yeah, so you've got it ingrained in your memory. Pokemon had nothing like that. Dragon Ball Z had nothing like that. So I need to take the average time that a player's turn takes, and then set an alarm, and then it just is always going off and be like, player secret action, player secret action.
One thing I used to do to remember back in the day is I just kept something real big. And so when I played one, I would have it right there. That way I'd always remember it. And I was like, why is it? Oh, okay. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about bringing my Shockwave figure. That way, and I'll just have him on the battlefield. That way I know there's a secret action there.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have to bring, I snatched up Evac from the Universal Studios trip that I took. Actually, it was a roundabout way that I got it. It was the last one available at the California spot, and they ended up shipping it to me because they were sold out and they discontinued this guy. So might have to break out that bad boy as my secret action reminder, because just playing the card itself is not enough. But yeah, Brandon, basically it's an action that you can play that triggers because of something your opponent does.
Okay.
So if
it's
it
a trap card from Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yep. Yeah. You defend, you get a buff, or your opponent gets a debuff.
And if you don't use it, if you don't trigger it at the end of their turn, it's destroyed.
Yes.
So usually that's what happens. The majority of the time people forget, and then they're like, oh, okay, forgot this. Oh, well, scrap it.
Yeah.
Wasted card, wasted action.
Yes.
So
And
that
then
deck,
it also doesn't count as a pip played. So there's some characters that, like Wave 2 Skywarp comes to mind. It says when you play a card that has no pips on it, you get a buff, and in a secret action, since it's played face down, it doesn't count as being played. It counts as a colorless pip play.
so that deck that he played, because I was asking a couple of the guys, a couple of Team All Too Easy members there, I was asking them about it, and they said it was a equivalent to like a hand destruction deck. Is that accurate?
I just knew he was doing a ton of damage. I feel like every deck now has either Vaporize, Ramming Speed, or Smelt in it.
Okay.
I'm not sure if he was doing too much hand destruction. Did you watch it at all, Shawn?
No, I haven't really watched. I just read a little bit on it. I didn't actually watch the match though.
Yeah, I don't know if he was doing hand destruction. I might be.
If he's
Yeah.
playing Shockwave, he was doing some hand destruction.
Yeah, I mean, you're always in that alt mode. You're always drawing a card and scrapping, but that could have just been a byproduct. I mean, he's a beefy dude, so, and I'm not talking about Stefan, I'm talking about Shockwave.
Yeah.
7 damage, 17 health. So, I mean, his abilities are a byproduct. It's a nice to have,
Okay.
but I don't think it makes or breaks him. But yeah, if you've got no cards in your hand, especially with Blaster, who wants those recover cassettes, he wants those cards that came with that set in order to do Blaster things.
Got it. Yeah, because it seems like this game in general, because of the way that the graveyard exists, because of the mechanics of the game, hand destruction isn't like terrible. So I was just curious about that element.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Shawn, what you think, but the cards in your hand are very valuable, and since you can only you try to play, if you can play 2 actions on a turn and bump that efficiency up any way you can, then you're in a good spot. If your opponent can't answer back with either a scrap or playing their own actions, then you're basically getting a 1-up. The more actions you can play, the more upgrades you get on, the better off you'll be. So if you can scrap a brainstorm, you've just canceled 2 action plays or
Okay.
any type of combo. If you're not trying to stop somebody from comboing, then you're going to be in a bad spot.
Yeah. Yeah, you can really derail decks if they can't get off their combos. Like if you can, like on cars, if you can not allow them to play turbo boosters, their cars are not, going to be as effective as they are.
Okay, so hand destruction is still significant and
Yeah.
viable, even
And
in
then
a rotating game.
even like Wave 1, Shock 1, he does damage when you do hand destruction. So his whole thing is get rid of their cards, get more cards in your hand to get rid of their cards.
Yeah, there's definitely room for those. I wouldn't even call them alternative play styles, but there's niches that aren't just straight damage or straight turtle that you can do. It's just getting it, refining it, and then getting it in the public eye,
Well,
and then everybody thinks it's
first
OP.
Yeah, first it's got to survive, Optimus and Bugs and Shockwave, and then,
Right. Right. And I think it's still extremely early in this game, and everybody is very segmented. So there's what people play in Michigan, there's what people play in Ohio and New Jersey.
You talk about their local meta. I was going to ask
Yep.
you guys about that too, because I was talking to All Too Easier, and he was talking about, because he wants to brew, like he likes the creativity, and at this point, being competitive in a brand new game, this game I'm calling it brand new, even though it's a year old, you have the ability or the opportunity, right, to just create something from scratch, from cards that you think are cool and tend to work well together. Do you guys tend to do that, or do you guys look at meta, what's performing, at high level events, and go with those decks or play those decks more often?
Yeah.
Well, to me, I think I make something that I brew it up in my mind. I make it, I goldfish it, and I definitely don't go with the meta. I mean, how pervasive social. I mean, you can know something immediately. Like the tournament could have happened an hour ago, and we'd have a deck profile up immediately. So, and then what I see is people, at least people that are in the know, they're on the Facebook page or following somebody on YouTube. They build that, and then they have good luck with it. So, like the Cliff Jumper deck from the previous tournament. The guy's name is slipping my mind, but he had a Cliff Jumper deck, and then this Shockwave deck. So that's Joe from Wreck and Rule. He does the re-ready cars with Anticipation Engine. So you see people playing Anticipation cars. So I think people emulate what they see because it's had good results at tournaments, and then they add. They may not own all the cards that were in there, so they throw other things in, or they take it upon themselves to make improvements on it. But I feel like that's what I see when I play.
Okay.
Yeah, I like how I personally play. It depends on the event, but I'm not a guy. I'm not playing to be really highly competitive. I'll play like some local tourneys here and everything, but like I didn't want to do the Energon qualifier because there's guys coming from out of town. It's like, okay, so I'm just going to be playing Bugs and Optimus Prime. I really don't feel like, spending a day losing, so I'm just going to stay home. I used to be competitive. I used to be in that, and I don't want to be that anymore. I'll, like next year when I can go to Gen Con or Origins, I'll play in tourneys. I'll probably take a good tourney deck that, I know I'm going to go a couple of, months beforehand. I'll make something but it won't be meta. It won't be anything that, everyone else is that. And like around like the deck list thing, I'm old school. I remember back in the day where people's looking at your deck, trying to scout your cards. You're like, you better get away, step off, punk, this is private.
Right.
Yeah.
They print it off on like GameFAQs or like on a dot matrix printer. It's like, yes.
And like now it's like, you just watching the live stream, just writing down as, everything's flipped over,
Right.
So it doesn't matter if you do it or not, your deck's going to get out there. But, if I'm going to play in a competitive, I do want to have a competitive deck, but you'll probably never, ever see me like here locally playing anything that's the meta. And if I want to play Optimus Prime, I'm going to play, a deck how I want to play it, not how everyone else plays it.
Okay. Yeah, that's it's definitely the, like the it's like casual versus the tryhards, right? So that's kind of where it is.
And I try not to come off as a contrarian, to be like, well, like if Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend for some reason was not meta, like nobody played him, would I be playing him? I don't know, right? It's like one of those things. It's like, well, I'm not going to play what everybody else is playing because I just want to go against the grain. There's just certain cards that I latch onto and I try to make them work. Like I've got this Blue Streak, Red Alert, and Wave 2 Bumblebee deck that I like, and it just focuses on Blue Streak and Red Alert doing their abilities and getting bravery on Blue Streak. It's actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, one thing that ticks me off is I was playing Shockwave before he was cool.
Shawn, the original Transformers hipster.
He was playing it back when Duelist was still being printed, right?
Oh, I love Duelist magazine. That was a great mag.
That was a great mag.
It was Beckett and Pojo. Pojo.com and then Beckett magazine for like prices and stuff.
I remember that back in the day. Yeah, getting your magazine, then going to trade and be like, okay, well, this Wrath right here is going for blah blah whatever. So
I did not leave my house without my Toy Fair or my Duelist or my Beckett's for Star Wars, Star Trek, and all the other non-WotC games.
So let's talk about some of these new cards, and this segment we'll call Pass or Play. So we'll start off with a big boy. And the rules here, Brandon and Shawn, and I'll give my 2 cents at the end. Rules here: pass or play, and you could throw something out there like too weak, too high a start cost, bogus ability, and we'll try and burn through some of the coolest announcements from Wizards of the Coast in terms of card spoilers over the past couple weeks here. So the first one is crazy. We haven't seen this guy since the Wave 2 promo card. Omega Supreme is getting hopefully a spotlight shown on him, and maybe you'll actually see somebody play this guy. So 22 star cost, Captain Omega Supreme, leader, melee, and ranged keywords, those attribute tags, a 22 star cost. Now, the funny thing is he's actually a combiner. So there's a gimmick here. In order to get him working, you have to take 3 different cards that are all rares, Omega Supreme Tank, Spaceship, and Base cards. And once you have these 3 on the battlefield and your opponent cycles their deck, so they reshuffle their deck, then you can combine. He's got 7 attack, 33 health, and 3 defense. He begins untapped, so no matter how you formed up with your cards before, he untaps, keeps each upgrade from before, and you get to choose. So if you have multiple upgrades, you get to choose which one carries over. He's got native Pierce 4. And then when this attacks, you may scrap 4 cards from your hand. If you do, scrap all defenders' upgrades and then do 1 damage to each enemy. Shawn, pass or play?
I'm playing him. I'm going to make a deck. As soon as I get him, I'm making a deck. I'm going to use Ancient Wisdoms, and I'm going to use Unleash Powers to get more star cards.
Nice. Yeah, because he's got room for 3. Because he's only at 22 stars.
And for these guys, at least in the beginning, the blue and the orange will help out.
Nice. Brandon, what do you think? Pass or play on Omega Supreme?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I would like to pass him because I think he's got to have support cards that come out with him, right? So whenever they drop that, there's going to have to be something to support the speed required to form him. Because I think what you were saying is he doesn't just come out, you have to have the other 3 cards to form him, and then he's ready to go. Is that correct?
Yeah, so and I kind of glazed over his component abilities, but his tank, when this attacks, scrap 2 cards from your hand. If you do 1 damage to an enemy, so he's kind of shooting off his cannon. The spaceship mode, when this attacks, you may scrap 2 cards from your hand. If you do, scrap an enemy upgrade. And then when this defends, do 2 damage to the attacker. Your opponent scraps the top 2 cards of their deck from his base mode.
That's good.
All those abilities kind of carry over into Captain Omega Supreme. Obviously carries over all that damage that would have been done to his other guys, and they have low health, 9, 12, and 12. So I don't know. I think you would probably run this with either mixed or blue, like blue Pierce, since he's got Pierce 4 already. Maybe you want to try and get up to Pierce 7.
You'll definitely want work overtime and system reboot. They'll be white pips. Because you'll be getting rid of your cards fast. So you'll be wanting those to get more cards into your hand.
Yeah, even treasure hunt, right?
Yeah.
Grabbing some upgrades just so you have the ability to use his ability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'd play.
All right. Okay, so we got a double play. I will play him as well, just because I tried so hard to get the promo Omega Supreme to work, but there's just not enough there, and that's all I got to say on that. So
I've seen some good decks. I've seen like a guy here had one before he moved away, and it was like a Omega Supreme and Warpath, like defensive blue deck, but with the advent of Pierce, that kind of blows it out of the water.
Yeah,
with the black pips and all the new Pierce stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, if you go too wide, no matter how much health you have, if you go too wide into 4 wide cars, you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just how it is. Some people have made it work. It's all about the pilot of the deck. You could have somebody who's never played before with a 4 wide car deck and get trounced, but good luck. So
I'd play it because it's the opposite of Metroplex, and as you know, I'm stuck on this Metroplex.
Brandon, we got to get you something else. We'll play. I'll play you online. We'll do a little online webcam match, and through the power of the internet. And if you beat me with Metroplex, you can keep playing it. But if I win, then we got to do something else.
All right, that's the deal. Because I don't get to play as often, but this I don't know. That was the first thing I realized. I was like, okay, this has three things. It tanks and they form into a giant beast, as opposed to a giant beast that has three tanks that pop out from underneath it. Oh,
Right.
okay. Well, this is similar. All right.
Yeah.
And they're going to have the same struggles, right?
So if you're going to a launch event, you are going to be getting this card, but the Nightbird Enigmatic Agent, one of the mercenary cards, rare promo card for launch day events, 3 attack, 11 health, 1 defense in bot mode, 4 attack, 0 defense in alt mode. In bot mode, the ability is when this does enough attack damage to KO an enemy, use this card's bounty ability. Bounty, play an action from your opponent's scrap pile. What? Ranged. And then in alt mode, when your opponent plays an action, they choose one of their characters and do 1 damage to it. 7 stars. Shawn, what do you think?
I'm playing just because I'm going to definitely have a mercenary deck. As I'm all about having different factions. So I'm going to definitely have a mercenary deck. So I'll be playing Nightbird.
Okay. Brandon, pass or play?
Play it all day. That feels strong. You get to play from their graveyard, so you're using their resources. I don't know how that is going to affect. I assume that you just play it from their discard pile or whatever. Discard pile, and it just goes back to the same location. But you could also, I assume, take that and put it on, because you can play. Well, I guess it's play actions, so it's not necessarily things that are going to upgrades that are going to attach to you. But I was thinking about like you're actually taking resources out of their pile, which is important, right?
Right, where it doesn't cycle back in, you're saying?
Right. Yeah, but I'd have to look at that again. But yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
just being able
insane.
oh, you're playing Brainstorm? I'll take a Brainstorm real quick. Let me play these 2 actions.
So strong.
Right, and it's insult to injury. I'm going to say play as well. So when this does enough attack damage, so all bounty abilities are the same way. You kill somebody, you get to use your bounty ability. So it's insult to injury. Hey, I just smoked one of your dudes, and I'm also going to play an action from your discard pile. So deal with that.
Take that. Yeah.
Yep. And so anybody listening, if you go to a launch event at your friendly local gaming store, as Brandon likes to call them, then you will get a copy of this foil promo card. Awesome. So next card is a 2-part combiner. We have Raider Skytread. In combined mode, he is ranged, 6 damage, 6 attack, 18 health, 3 defense. Again, when he combines, he is untapped. When this attacks, you may put a face-down card from under this into your hand. If you do, move 1 damage counter from this to the defender. He is a 12-star when combined. His plane mode, 4, 10, and 0. Revenge, so when he gets KO'd, if you have Skytread tank on the battlefield or in your KO area, you may combine this into Raider Skytread. If you do, put the cards from your hand face down under Raider Skytread. So that's like almost like an ammo ability where you're loading up Skytread. His tank mode, when he gets KO'd in tank mode, then you also get to combine. So it's actually the same ability. So if the plane dies first or the tank dies first, you put all your cards underneath Skytread when he forms up. Pass or play, Shawn?
I don't know, I'll probably pass on Skytread, at least for now. I haven't really seen all the battle cards in the set.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, for 12, I don't know. Seems a little... there's a lot better out there for 12's cost.
Yeah. Brandon, what do you think?
You play a face down card from under this into your hand. If you do, move 1 damage counter from this to the defender. From 1 damage counter, man, that's... You play a face down. Yeah, I got to pass on this one.
Yeah. If it was maybe 2 damage, that'd probably be better.
Yeah. So you're getting cards that you used to have back in your hand. If part of the prerequisite of combining is that somebody's dead. So if the plane died, you have at most 8 health left. If your tank died, you have 10 health. So I guess I can see the value there, but he would need to have, you've got 13 left, so you've got a 6 and a 7 that you could have in there with him. Just off the rip, just thinking out loud. Yeah, I'm going to have to pass on him. He might do something crazy, but I don't see any value in him right now.
I always hate to do that thing where it's like, oh man, if this card had this,
Right.
if it was,
If he was a totally different card.
if he had good abilities, oh my God, it would be amazing. But
Right.
if they did something where you could play the cards from under him directly, like in real time, that would be good. This
Right, like a
just
double
seems bad.
hand that can't be scrapped.
Exactly, because since you're dumping your hand under him anyway, you're already going to be behind, right? So you have to reload your hand and deal with the cards underneath here. Now, you should, for that kind of cost, you should definitely be able to play the cards under there. That would make this card, significantly different and see more play. But as it is right now, you're just so far behind that I would never play it.
Yeah.
I would say, since we're starting kind of like Nemesis, where there's more mechanics of putting cards, under characters and stuff. I wonder if I'd like to see something maybe where you can put a secret action under a character and it doesn't scrap. You can reveal it at any time when it triggers, and it doesn't scrap at the end of your opponent's turn. Maybe a character could save it or something. That'd be something for the future, maybe.
Yeah, I think the different types of mechanics they bring in is good for the game. It's we
just don't need to start bringing dice into it, like dice rolling and stuff.
Oh yeah, like coin flipping. I was thinking about that. Like that's one thing they don't have is that. I mean, I think there's enough RNG already.
Yeah, we don't need another element.
Yeah. All right, so next one, we talked about Shockwave. Created as a clone of Shockwave, we have Sergeant Sound Blaster. So clone of Soundwave, made by Shockwave. I did not see this coming at all. He's a super rare for this next set, Siege 2. Specialist in bot mode. 6 attack, 16 health, 1 defense. When this attacks, play a black pip weapon from your scrap pile onto this. And then in alt mode, Spaceship Specialist 5, 16, and 2. When you flip to this mode, you may move a weapon from this character to one of your other characters. If you do, that character also gets 1 bonus attack damage until the end of turn. 12 stars. What do you say, Shawn?
I'll probably play him. He looks pretty fun. You can probably pair him with a couple of other guys, and but especially lower guys, you'll have lots of cutlasses and lots of pierce going around.
Yeah, donating a little bit of attack damage, throwing them a weapon. And then Brandon, what do you think on this super rare dark clone? If Soundwave could get any darker, dark clone, the Sound Blaster.
Let's see. I get to go through resources that are in my scrap pile and put them on my guy for free. Yeah. Yes, please. Yes, please. I like that. That's good. I would definitely play that guy. That seems pretty good.
All right.
I always like getting resources, when I don't have to draw them or pay for them.
Right. And like we said, I mean, anytime you get to double or, improve that efficiency of taking 1 play on an action, 1 play on an upgrade, the better.
Exactly.
It's also great with the RR Disruptor Blade, because if you don't pull a pip and it has to be scrapped, then you'll be able to get it pretty much anytime there,
Oh, right, yeah, because RR Disruptor Blade,
yeah,
if on your attack you don't flip a black pip, you have to discard it. It's +3 attack, right, Shawn?
Yeah, so at least be a permanent Disruptor Blade for him.
Yes.
Yeah, that just seems worth it. Seems good.
I will play him as well, but the probability that all 3 of us will draw a super rare Sound Blaster, the odds aren't with us, but may the odds forever be in your favor.
Okay.
And then we're going to end this pass or play off with one of the coolest looking characters. And he got the Wave 1 treatment and still sees some play, but Captain Jetfire, a rare from this set, leader and range in bot mode, 6 attack, 20 health, 2 defense. Win this battles, draw a card, then you may reveal an upgrade from your hand and put it on top of your deck. If you do, flip one more battle card this battle.
Oh. Ooh.
And then in alt mode, he keeps his leader stat, plain and ranged, 5, 20, and 2. When you flip to this mode, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, put all upgrades from among them into your hand, scrap the rest. So basically, he's got a treasure hunt +1 on his alt mode. 16 stars. Shawn, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to play Jetfire. I'll definitely have a deck made for him. Load it up with upgrades and see what happens.
Yeah, that's crazy. Brandon?
That's too good. All day. Play that all day, every day. There's definitely that is going to be a impactful deck in the meta for sure. I'm putting it out there.
Yeah.
So come on, brewers. Whoever's brewing out there, get on it. Behind the power curve.
20 health, man. That's crazy. And six attack is not insane, but it's better than average. And 2 defense, keeping him alive a little bit longer. 20 health. That's like one of the highest combiner. I mean, you've got Cosmos, who has 21.
Yeah, 21.
It's like the highest non-Titan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of Jetfire, especially he's only a rare, so I think you'll see him.
And you got 9 more stars to play with, right?
Right.
So, I mean, heck, with some of these new Battle Masters that are like insane utilities and armors and stuff.
Yeah.
You can start them right off the bat as being beefy.
Yeah, and then you've got
energy packs.
Oh yeah, energy pack. The defensive configuration. There's all types of cards that it's going to be nuts. I think this is going to throw a wrench. All these cards and all the battle cards from Wave 4 are really going to turn the meta upside down. Paired with the banning of Press the Advantage, I think we're really in for something crazy.
I'm looking at these cards, right, and I'm thinking, about all the other games that I've played over the course of time, and I see all of these things, this leader, this plane, this ranged, right, and it makes me think, and this is just speculation, right, there's got to be some kind of design element that we're in for, because some games, like I used to play a game called Verse back in the day, and ranged meant like you could hide behind somebody else and shoot into, combat, right? So if somebody wanted to come after that character, they would have to get through whoever's in front of him because they have ranged, right? Makes sense. They have a gun and they're hiding behind the dude that has a shield, right? So that type of situation. I'm wondering if maybe some stuff like that is going to come up, or maybe it's just like a weapon type, because there doesn't seem to be any other reasons to have those unless I just don't know, what's going on with the game.
There are some cards that like the Matrica leadership can only be attached to leaders.
Right.
Just random stuff like that. But I'd like to see things like that, like extra maybe abilities that aren't specifically for cards or something like that. I was hoping they would make cards or something for the ranks. I was hoping they'd have like cards like all sergeants or something get something this turn, or but they didn't do anything like that yet.
I think they've got to be like maybe future development design elements. And again, this is off topic, off on a tangent, but every time I look at those, I'm like, why are these here? What could they be hinting? Because otherwise there might be like 1 or 2 things but all the cards have like ranged, or they have like, something, right? Melee, whatever.
Right. Yeah, they definitely take advantage of those keywords, those attributes. But I think and Shawn, you had the idea of the red and the purple pip on the last time we spoke. But yeah, I think you guys are onto something with the ranks. I mean, unless they're just putting them on there for thematic purposes to coincide with the War for Cybertron TV show that's going to be coming out, or the toy line. Yeah, a buff maybe in was it Earth Rises or Earth Rising, the new toy set that comes after Siege. Maybe we will see some sort of all captains get this or that. The permanence, though, is what I'm really looking forward to, which would be like just thinking something that stays in play, a la a Pokemon Stadium card. So like embattlements.
A location.
Yep. So ranged characters cannot be damaged by melee characters, those types of things, and it just stays out until another one comes into play or it gets scrapped. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, they used to have that for Babylon 5. Is called an agenda, that gave you specific things until you wanted to change it. But you just couldn't get rid of it willy-nilly. You had to replace it.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to see something like that. It's also like world enchantments for MTG.
Right. Stuff like something that just works with these keywords could be definitely interesting. And that would absolutely add another element or another even whole dimension, right? That opens up new strategies, that opens up a lot of opportunities to, revisit older cards, because since they all have these traits anyway, right? Some of the stuff that nobody's playing, if you introduced a whole new, window, then they're going to sneak in that window.
Right. Yep. I hope they don't get too crazy where it becomes like way too complex, so that you're scaring away new players, because they're like, oh man, we got 6 different pip colors, we got permanents, we got this, we got that. It's like, I'm good. I'm gonna go play solitaire. Actually,
That's how it was. Hero Clicks when it first came out, it was real simple the first couple sets, and then it's like, wait, what?
I was definitely, the first time I played Transformers, I was definitely confused, and I was a little put off by the mechanic of forcing, especially the first turn, like forcing the attack, right? I was thinking, okay, there should be some type of control where I don't, if I don't want to dedicate my resources to attacking, then I don't have to, and maybe I can stop that guy from being attacked. But I think as I learned more about the game, where they're designing it and to be a faster paced game, that was why they put that there. But so they've got their reasons, right? So yeah.
Well, also it just makes it simple. There's one win condition, last spot standing. Then you have to attack or defend. Just something. So I'd probably see until they release some kind of new win mechanic, which I hope they don't. But
well, there's 2 now, right? They've got that second one out.
the new Megatron from this set can you can win the game off of him. Yep. Yeah. And then what is the card? Daring Escape. It's like you can't, if you play the card and you have no cards available to be like your what is it? Your draw pile, your deck is empty, and you play this card.
Yeah.
And so everything is in play, then you win. So
and then that one too lets you, I think it lets you put a card from your deck to your KO pile instead of going to your the other pile. Yeah. So they are from the bottom or whatever it was. But that victory condition, I remember reading about that, and I'm like, that's going to be interesting, because then all of these decks that draw all these cards, like I've played a game where I'm like, why do you have 13 cards in your hand? Like, what's going on here? Yeah. But stuff like that would be definitely interesting to see.
Well, guys, thank you very much for joining, and thank you all for listening. This has been Double Pipcast, and we'll see you next time.